Fantasy?
Film.
Bye! What'd you fucking say?
Fantasy.
Film fight!
I still don't get it.
Fantasy. Fight!
We take the pick of the litter.
We take it in turns. Someone just gotta go first. And then?
The next person.
They just go round and round.
That's what
We call it
fantasy.
fight. You win some, you lose some.
Anything can happen.
So,
Who are you going with?
who you picking? Today.
Fantasy.
Film.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 57 of Fantasy Film Fights, the show where we take a random film topic and we draft it fantasy style. With me today, as always, over here, my partner in crime. Okay, now over here.
Yeah, what the hell happened there?
I don't know. I was looking at the camera and not the screen. But my co-host, Tony. Tony, how you doing?
Hi, I'm in my rightful spot. I did something today, but I've not done in probably 10 years, so it's thrown me off my game. I feel like I was going to watch a movie for this. I was going to get prepared, and then I just got really tired. I went, you know what? I'm going to have a nap in the middle of the day. I'm going to have a siesta.
Slept?
I actually slept.
What?
It was a weird
Guys, this is breaking news.
It was a weird thing. So just like I woke up like an hour and a half ago, and just like, okay, I'm just grateful that I'm actually here, but I've not just got like 20 messages from Peggy, just like, where the fuck are you? Where are you? Where are you? It's like I wake up like 7 a.m. next morning, just like this is the greatest sleep I've ever had, and I'm now killed.
Yeah, nah, we would have figured out a way to persevere without you, but always happy to have you along for the ride, as we are happy to have the 4 panelists that are joining us today to draft the 3rd movie in a series or a trilogy. That works too, but it's going to be a fun one. Over here, we got Mr. Jimmy Dery returning. Jimmy, how are you?
Oh, hi. I made a list of 25 third installments in French movies, so that's going to be nice.
Yeah.
As always, nobody's going to hear about those movies, so yay. Is that the point of the show? I guess.
It's your list, it's your team, it's your squad, whatever you want to put on it. That's up to you, buddy. But I'm looking forward to see what you come up with down over here in the corner. You'll be joining us, Andrew. Andrew, how are you doing?
Doing well. I'm glad to at least have one person picking movies that will not be on my list at all.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, the way this show goes, sometimes every single one that's on your list starts going off the board, or they all stay there, and then all of a sudden you're like, damn, I've got like 4 that I want to pick. Number 1, I don't know which one to pick. We'll see how it goes. I don't know which way it's gonna go for you, but we'll see. Below me, Mr. Mike, another rookie joining us. Mike, how you doing?
Oh, doing wonderful. Thanks for having me. This is way earlier than I'm used to being on the air. So,
Well, we're happy that you made room in your schedule to join us. Happy to have
absolutely.
you. And then last but certainly not least, my boy over here in the corner, Mr. Jake Meltzer. Jake, how are you?
I'm still shook from the revelation that Tony actually slept. But
Right?
other than that, yeah, I know. Other than that, though, yeah, I know, Malcolm. That is correct. I am so shook, but otherwise I'm good. This is a really fun topic, and it was fun doing the prep for this. I was actually watching something right before this, so we'll see if it gets picked.
We shall see. But in order to see that, we got to figure out draft order. Tony, how are we going about that?
Yeah, the way that's going to work is that since I am drafting along, Peggy's got a numerical question here. We're all going to take a go and whoever gets close to the pin gets to go first. Well, gets to pick the order. They decide who gets to go first, who gets stuck in the middle, and who takes it in the rear.
Okay, so I've been a little bit busy with some studying for this thing I've got coming up in a few weeks. It's called Movie Trivia Schmodown. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of it, but yeah, got drafted, so I've been a little busy. So I forgot to come up with a question. So we're going back to the trusty Days of Fuse book, and I'm going to open it to a random page, and you guys are going to have to try to get as close as you can to that random page. So here we go. Open the book. Got a page. It is between 1 and 441 pages. So give you kind of a clue. This is where I opened it to. So it's somewhere in there.
Okay. I'm going to change my...
Yeah.
So, Peggy, have you actually read that book yet?
No, I have not. I'm waiting for there actually to be sunlight in Chicago so I can go over to the lake and sit outside with my dog and read it.
Nice.
Right now, I'm focusing on stuff that I watch, not that I read, but we'll get to this eventually.
It is great. You will, as somebody I know as big a Days and Confused fan as you are, you will absolutely love that book.
I hope so. It was a Christmas present from my aunt. All right, everyone got a number? And I just went away from the... Okay, good. Let's keep it open over there to that page.
Never heard of it.
All right, Jimmy, what did you write down?
123.
123. Andrew?
125.
125.
Wow.
Ooh, damn. All right, Mike, what'd you have?
37.
Page 37. Jake?
I went a little higher. It looked almost halfway, so I said 175.
175. And Tony?
Brap 187.
187.
And under.
Well, Jake, you did go over, but this is not Price is Right rules. It is 152, 153 is the page I opened up to. So, Jake, you win. You get to set the draft order. What are you thinking? Where's everyone going?
Okay, well, I want to ensure that I get my pick, so I'm going to go first.
Okay.
And then I'll have Jimmy go second, and then Tony go third, and then I'll have Mike and Andrew take the end, so they can get picks closer to each other.
Mike, and then
Ease them in a little bit.
Okay, so just double check. So it's Jake, Jimmy, Tony, Mike, Andrew.
Got it.
So it's a snake draft, right? So I get the last of the. Okay.
Yes. So, Andrew, you will be picking back to back when you pick, as will Jake.
Okay.
So just quick say, so we are doing movies in a trilogy, either the third film of a trilogy or a third film of a series. We have excluded films where they're not technically an official trilogy or stuff like that. So something like the Cornetto trilogy, because they've not got the same characters or the same story going throughout, we've not included it because someone spent a fucking hour of our lives arguing about that when we did sequels.
Yes, it was a long one, but yeah. So got that out the way. Might as well get this show on the road. Jake, you're officially on the clock. What is the first overall pick for a third movie in a series or trilogy?
Okay, so to me, there was really only one answer for this. And I'm not known to be a geek person, but
the microphone.
I am going geek for my first pick, and pretty much everybody who's close friends with me is going to be really upset with this pick because they're just uncultured swine and don't appreciate the Lord of the Rings trilogy because it's obviously Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King is the clear number one pick for me. This is my favorite trilogy of movies. I absolutely adore all of these movies. And to me, I think it's the most incredible adaptation of a series of books that there has ever been. To me, and I think Return of the King, I did not pander to Malcolm, but to me, I love all the movies, but Return of the King, I think, has the most sort of iconic moments of any movie in the trilogy. Helm's Deep is great. I'm not taking anything away from that, but you have at least somebody who is in my faction likes the choice. Yeah, there it is. To me, it's, yeah, you have the entire Battle of Pelennor Fields is just remarkable. You have just one of my favorite moments in movie history is when Éowyn murders the Witch King and says, "I'm no man."
Now I'm not going to watch it.
It's one of my favorite moments in really any movie. It just gets me every time. And I don't care about like the 5 endings that there is.
I was going to mention. Has the most endings of anything that's going to be drafted.
Listen, the extended edition is the way to go for any of these. And Return of the King is no exception. I will bask in all 4+ hours of it. It is just absolutely phenomenal. And what's also crazy is that the Hobbit movies came out like a decade later. They don't even look. And
Mr. Movie release dates doesn't know the release dates of that one.
I don't need to study for that. I don't need to study for that right now, so I don't really care. So it's and so they have all this new advanced technology that you would think that the effects would be better. They're really not. Like the effects for the Lord of the Rings movies and especially Return of the King, they hold up surprisingly well for being almost 20 years old. This is kind of I rewatched these relatively recently, and I just fell in love with them all over again. It's I am a huge fantasy guy. I love fantasy stories. And this is, I think, the best fantasy trilogy in movie history.
Well, I have no doubt that this made the list of at least some of the other panelists. Did you guys have this on any list?
Oh, for sure.
I did.
Yeah.
Was this everyone's first pick overall?
Yeah, it's
No.
the only one that won the best picture of anything on my list. So
True.
It was
Uh,
not
what-
my first overall pick, but it was in my top 3.
That's fair.
What's your favorite moment in the movie, Jake?
You just said
Oh, shoot.
that when Arwen
Yeah.
kills the witch.
When Eowyn
whatever.
kills the Witch King is my favorite moment.
I am no man.
This was also my favorite movie experience because what's his name? The guy was also in Lost, and wait, which one is it?
Dominic
West?
Yeah,
Moynihan.
yes, Dominic Moynihan and Sean Astin came to the screening, and
Oh.
so it was
That's
very
cool. Yeah, Rudy in the house. Nice.
Yeah, somebody tried to start a Rudy chant in the back. It did not work.
And had I been there, that probably would have been me. Just.
I'm
But
just
no.
gonna bring up what Aaron said and disagree 100%. I hate the franchise.
Listen, man, I would take 7 hours of it. Absolutely. I mean, that's 2 movies right there.
Because the world don't move.
How many
to the
movies
beat
you
of
watch
just
for over
one
3
song.
hours?
2?
Oh, gee. Oh, we're not watching movies over 3 hours now?
You're
Well,
gonna
don't
wanna
watch the
get
Snyder
it.
Cut. Don't watch the Snyder Cut. It's 4 hours. Allegedly.
Story's good enough. Make it as long as you need. That's my theory, anyways. But excellent first pick, Jake. Return of the King is off the board. Jimmy, you're up, sir.
All right. I am going to go with a little franchise known as Superman with Superman 3. not really. I'm known as a geek
That's why I wrote
player.
it down.
Yeah. Don't do that, please. I already don't have much dignity, so I don't want to lose what's left
Hey,
of it.
people like different things. I wasn't about to judge.
Yeah, that's fine. All right, so yeah, I'm known as a geek player, usually in the trivia leagues. I have a poster of that movie behind me. It's the better one. This one, Avengers: Infinity War. It's the third Avengers movie. It is, in my opinion, the best of the Avengers movie. Yes, I'm part of the club that thinks that Infinity War is better than Endgame. One case that the build-up is better than the payoff, in my opinion. Endgame is a little bit too long, in my opinion. Yes, there's Cap with the hammer, but I'd rather have Thanos. His introduction in the first 5 minutes, it kills Loki, who's been dying like 25 times in the series so far. You've got everybody in the MCU almost that is still alive coming up to the movie. For a bit, it was the highest grossing movie of all time. Don't quote me on that. I might be wrong. I think it got nominated for Best Visual Effects, if I'm not mistaken.
Something like that.
And Josh Brolin as Thanos is probably the best use of motion capture. In my opinion, it beats Andy Serkis and The Lord of the Rings. In my opinion. Fight words, I know. Sorry. It didn't win Best Picture, but I cannot get anything.
Yeah, I think comic book movies would be hard pressed to win Best Picture, but who knows? I mean, tides are turning. Maybe they'll get there one of these days.
Something.
But
we're never gonna see the same build up to a movie like Infinity War had when the trailer dropped.
That's kind
I
of.
would argue
think,
Endgame's build-up was even bigger, but
yeah. But Endgame is not a possible selection in this one, unfortunately.
no, it's not.
Well, we'll see what I end up selecting, but this was third place in my MCU choices.
Right now, for some reason, I just keep playing in my head. Get lost, Squidward. I don't know why. It just keeps repeating. So, Tony.
Well, I was going to say, my thing with Infinity War and Endgame, I can never. It's the same with like Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2. I can't see them anymore as two different films in my head.
Right.
Like I don't think anyone can sit down, watch Infinity War, and then not just go, all right, I'm going to spend the next 3 hours watching Endgame. I think it's physically impossible to do that now.
That's true.
It's one of those ones where it just feels like there's a one film now and just one in a whole, and just like, and it's a very good 6 hours wait of time instead of watching people walk when they could have just rode on fucking eagles.
And last word, the score in the movie is really awesome. It doesn't beat Lord of the Rings because Lord of the Rings is, in my opinion, the best score, I think. Yeah, no more hate, Jake. But yeah, the score of Infinity War is really good.
Yeah, definitely a good one.
Mr. Alan Silvestri outdid itself.
Yeah,
And
I'm not going to argue. I wouldn't. It was on my list, but it was not that high up. I didn't think it would get like towards the end, but maybe I do. I am one of those people that prefers Endgame to Infinity War. But one thing Infinity War does have in its favor over Endgame, Chris Evans' beard. My goodness.
Where's Christina?
I was gonna say Christina would agree with you on that one.
Goals right there. That beard.
When he walks out of the shadows. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Love
Catches
that.
the spear.
Well, I got a little curious when that happened. I'm not ashamed to say he's a beautiful man, the bearded Chris Evans.
I see you've copied my beard. He is a beautiful man. I gotta say, I'm not someone who's huge into the MCU or Marvel movies. So basically, I watched, like within a week, I tried to watch all of them leading up to Endgame. I gotta say, the ending of Infinity War was a ballsy way to end that movie because that could have backfired on them severely, but it worked.
And when you think that Thor might have killed Thanos at that moment, then he goes like, "You should have gone for the head."
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So that's my pick.
I remember the snap being spoiled for me, and I was saying, as long as they don't take Groot, don't take Groot. Fucking anyways, but excellent choice. Avengers Infinity War goes to Jimmy. Tony, you're up.
Okay, so for me, for a film, it kind of has to feel that it belongs in this thing. The story, it's not just there because they wanted to make a story because they wanted a bit more money. Is because the story needs to progress, and I think this is one of the films that does this so perfectly well. And it's so and I think for me personally, I'm the perfect age for this character arc. I think I was like 3 or 4 when the original came out. Second one I was about 10 or 11. This one I was just getting into my adulthood, and it's about giving away toys and like growing up and becoming a man for Andy. Toy Story 3 is one of the most perfect films.
Yeah, that was on my
Great choice.
Yeah.
Excellent choice.
Second pick.
That was my number one.
Snagged it right before your pick too. Oh, it's unfortunate when that happens, but yeah.
Bold choice, Cotton.
I cried my eyes out at this one, but then I'm an easy target for crying during movies. So,
and not just that. It's also funny. It's also in that movie that Buzz Lightyear goes Spanish mode.
I forgot about
dancing
that.
around and just being funny all around.
Like, and there's so many good parts in it as well, and there's so much emotional stakes to it. Like that whole scene in the recycling plant. Like you honestly could have gone like, okay, they're gonna kill them all. This is gonna be dark as hell. But like we kind of accepted it at that point. Just like it would have been the darkest ending in the history of the universe, but somehow they made it work. It's like we're gonna kill all your favorite characters.
Ballsy choice.
Yeah, a little bit like Infinity War.
Yeah.
Think about it.
It's just it would have been a perfect end for the series. They had to do a 4th movie and probably a 5th and a 6th, but 3 would have been a great end to the story.
Yeah,
I think.
I still haven't watched 4.
It's fine, but it's unnecessary.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like you don't need it. 3 is a brilliant movie. It's one of it's maybe in my top 5 all time for Pixar.
Nice.
I just think that, I just love the tonal balance that it has between with the levity mixed in with the pathos, and I'm a sucker for like a good escape, like it's a whole escape plot. Like, and all the Toy Story movies have them. It's kind of a recurring thing. They have these like big elaborate plans for escape from various venues, and this is probably my favorite one, just because of the emotional stakes you get at the recycling plant. And Lotso, I think, is a better villain than Stinky Pete. They're kind of from the same DNA, but I think I like Lotso better. I think he sort of mixes.
You hate him more.
I like his. I don't like him,
Yeah.
but I think he's a better character.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure I was on the same page.
It's a great pick. That would have been if it lasted to like round 3. I would have gone him, but
There's
clearly
no way that would have lasted till round 3.
So Tony, the movie is not going to come out, but if you had to choose between the furnace in Toy Story 3 or the first 10 minutes of Up, which one hurts you the most?
Okay.
Hurts.
Well, I feel like Toy Story 3 was earned.
Yeah,
I was about to say, like, the Up one works so beautifully in like telling that story, in creating that. Is the best short film that Pixar has ever done.
Yeah.
Those first 10 minutes, it's absolutely heartbreaking, but like you can't really compare it to Toy Story because you have decades worth of like Buzz Lightyear. I had him as a toy as my child. Like,
Sorry.
so Andrew, you mentioned this was going to be your first overall pick.
Yeah.
Right.
It's such a. I mean, yeah, I think it's my favorite of the Toy Story franchise, and it's definitely in my top 2 or 3 of Pixar of all time. It's just such a great film, so emotional. You know, I don't cry in many films, but that one gets me every time.
But no, excellent choice, Tony. Toy Story 3 gone off the board. So sorry, Mike, that it got snapped right before your pick, but you're up. What you got?
So I was going through making my list today, and I was going through all these franchises, and there's so many obvious choices, and there's so many also awful third movies and franchises. I feel like that would have been a much easier list to make, honestly. But I saw one today that jumped out at me that I did not think of until today when I did this. And I'm like, no, it might not have even gotten picked otherwise, but I'm going with it. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Nice.
Wow.
I like it.
And I saw that. I'm like, this is a franchise that the first 2 movies are both very well liked, but the third one is the one that really became the most iconic of the 3. It is a staple every Christmas, around the world at this point. And you're building with, the brilliance of Chevy Chase. He made his character from the first 2 and made him even more of a doofus, lovable doofus in this, the third one. The scene with the Christmas lights is one of my favorite scenes, just period, in any, it's on, nope, no, oh, it's on. And the Santa Claus flying across the, off the roof
and the rockets, red glare.
There's so many good things about that movie. Again, I saw that, I'm like, you know what? I don't know if anyone else thought of this, but it deserves to be the first pick.
Yeah, I didn't even think about this one, but I love the fact that you picked it. Like, you couldn't hear a dump truck driving through a nitroglycerin plant. There's so many quotable lines from that movie. And yes, it's a staple, at least definitely in my house every single Christmas.
Almost everybody I know watches it at least once a year.
Yeah. Maybe not Jake.
No, I've seen it once. It just went in one ear, out the other. The Christmas movies are not my thing for reasons. Shabbat shalom, everybody. But yeah. So this never even crossed my mind to.
I think you need to give it a rewatch one of these days, because like if you just take the Christmas part out of it, it's still a funny movie.
Exactly.
I mean, I got a trivia question wrong about this movie because I didn't know what the hell the Jelly of the Month Club was.
Oh no! It's the gift that keeps on giving the whole year, according to Eddie. But anybody else have this on their list? I didn't even think about it.
It was at the bottom of mind of if I was running out of ideas, but
safety pick.
It wasn't on my list until today.
Yeah, that's fair. I dig it. I think it's a great pick.
Well, it feels weird that it's a film that came out in the 80s, because if you watch some, like, the way Chevy Chase does a lot of his comedy, it's just like, just put this in black and white, have him look like a tramp, and it could be a silent film from the 30s and 40s. So this is physical comedy, which like you don't really see much anymore.
Well, Tony, I know SNL isn't a big thing over there, but his physical comedy back when he was on Saturday Night Live was like second to none too. So he's always been good with the physical comedy portion. I don't know so much about the personality part. There's stories, but physical comedy, he's got that on lock.
I think Dan Harmon said all there is about Chevy Chase's personality.
Chevy Chase.
We definitely said a lot.
He's said a few things.
So that notwithstanding, I think National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation is an excellent first round pick. Mike, well done. Andrew, close out round 1. What you got?
Okay, I'll close out round 1 with one of my favorite gonna say ending franchise movies because I'm gonna pretend like it ended, and say Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
There it is.
Yeah.
I
don't
mean,
need the surviving the nuclear bomb in a fridge. No.
We don't mention that fourth one.
exactly. So this was so great. Sean Connery was such a great addition. Like it felt like he was like you like had to almost rewatch the other two to go. He wasn't in those movies before, right? Because that's how much he felt at home in that movie.
Yeah, he just slipped right in there. Perfect. And this is my favorite of the Indiana Jones movies by
Same.
far. And like
Same.
River Phoenix was
Same.
perfectly cast as young Indiana Jones. It so sucks that he didn't stick around long enough for him to he would have had a huge career. But yeah. Excellent choice. I'm hoping the rest of you guys had this on your list. You better have.
Yeah. It would have probably been my next pick. It was certainly in the running.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love it. Raiders of the Lost Ark is maybe my favorite movie of all time, but I do love The Last Crusade as well for the reasons you mentioned. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of wild. Like River Phoenix was Harrison Ford's son in Mosquito Coast. It was like 3 years earlier. And so it was kind of natural for him to, like, there was something there, obviously, and for him to kind of be cast. And yeah, and he's great. And the whole final scene with Connery reciting when he's like in the cave and it's like the penitentiary, all that. But
in Latin, Jehovah begins with an I.
Yeah, it's just like it's iconic for a reason.
Oh, I mean, everybody knows that Indiana's the dog, and you don't find that out until
you are named after the dog. Such a good movie. No ticket.
Belongs in a museum.
No ticket.
I think they put
Temple's good too.
Temple's fine. It just there's just overtones of just like looking at it back now 2021. You just go maybe not.
It doesn't hold up quite as well.
Yeah.
And there's the whole Kate Capshaw of it all.
Yeah, to me, like that was almost like Super Mario Brothers 2. Like it's a good separate thing, but it didn't feel like the same as the other things in the franchise. Like it's like which of these things is not like the others. But
I had to watch that whole dinner scene as a kid with like through my eyes because I'm like, monkey, what the hell? The snake surprise? Are you kidding me?
Also, the cameo by Hitler is probably one of the best things of just like because it's just like because you just have that rise of terror and just like it's just like holy shit, this is where it all falls apart. He's gonna have to fight Hitler. It's like oh no, you got
a fucking autograph.
But I just need to bring something up. So Jake said that it's natural for Sean Connery to play Harrison Ford's father.
I did not say that.
You know what the age difference between those two is?
It was like less than 10 years old.
Yeah, I was gonna say 20.
Sean Connery was 12 years older than Harrison Ford.
No.
Really?
So Scotland is a weird country. Scotland does a lot of things weird. 12-year-olds having babies is not one of them.
Well, there's examples of that all over the place. I mean, you had Sally Field playing Tom Hanks' love interest and then playing his mom a couple years later. So
Makeup.
But The Last Crusade is a solid way to close out round one. Thank you, Andrew. Tony, recap for the people who didn't join us right away so they can figure out everything that's been picked so far.
Absolutely. Give me 2 seconds because I spelled crusade wrong. I know I picked it around.
CRU.
Garf is going to come at you.
Looks good on the bottom.
Anthony's going to come at you.
There's some. I have my own personal spell checker. He attacks me every time.
Is it a monkey under the desk?
It's
the worst of times.
Toy Story 3.
Worst of times. That was the worst impression I've ever done in my life. I tried doing Mr.
And
Burns,
he's done
and
some
I
bad
just
ones, ladies and gentlemen.
fuck you. All right. First overall, Jake went Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. Jimmy went for Avengers: Infinity War. I went Toy Story 3. Mike went National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and Andrew went Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
And we go right back to Andrew to kick off round two. What you thinking?
Okay, I'll go with another movie where I'm going to pretend where it ended on the third one and go Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Oh, damn.
Now, is this the one with Jeremy Irons? Am I thinking?
Yes,
Okay.
with Sam Jackson. Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure I was on the same page.
Zor's Gonna Thunder, lightning bolt up your ass.
We weren't
That's
saying
Zeus.
Jesus. We were saying Hey Zeus. Yes.
Do I look like a Latino to you?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, so much classic in that movie. Driving through Central Park. It was, being in the New York City area, just a great New York City type movie. Also, using all the different landmarks. And another one that I don't know so much about like Die Harder, but Die Hard with a Vengeance really set the new bar that they could never clear again, I guess. But
no, that's fair. I mean, yeah, and then there's weird things like where I've seen like a series of movies, but somehow I missed like the second one or the fourth one somehow, but you can still figure out like how to you can still follow the story, which is great.
Yeah,
but
I got a hot take on this.
Okay.
Oh, screw the internet, but I prefer Die Hard with a Vengeance over Die Hard 1.
Wow.
You're
insane.
I mean, like,
I'm a minority by default already.
I can understand. How about that?
It's the first one. I've seen this one first before the first movie, so that's probably why it has such a good place in my heart.
No, that's fair.
This movie shouldn't have worked how well it did because the way it worked was that it was originally a script called Simon Says. It was going to be a Brandon Lee venture. Then sadly he passed away. Then they did. It was going to be for a Lethal Weapon movie. Then finally they went, oh, well, let's just use it for Die Hard 3. And it's like, and it just worked so perfectly. Like bringing John McTiernan back to direct it as well just brought like this whole the voice of it. And it's like now when you think of John McClane character, you think a lot more of Die Hard with a Vengeance. That style of like the drunkard almost, rather than the guy from Die Hard.
And picture this: the original ending was supposed to be Jeremy Irons and Bruce Willis playing Russian roulette with a rocket launcher. That was supposed to be the ending. It was cut, and they changed it to that final scene that didn't really matter. But yeah, it was a different thing.
The original Die Hard, do you know who they had to offer it to before anyone else?
Oh, I used to know this.
Like to direct or
no, to play John McClane.
OJ.
They legally were obligated to offer this person it. They had to turn
because
it down.
they were in the movie that was but I just can't remember was it Frank Sinatra?
It was Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
Frank Sinatra in the 80s was offered this action role.
A very different movie.
I saw that Netflix special.
I kind of wish they said yeah, and just like it's like 70-year-old Sinatra just on a Zimmer frame, just like yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers. I'm a hit.
Yeah, how old was he at the time of Die Hard?
He must be in the 60s or something. Just like
a lot.
Would have been a very, very different movie. Very different movie. All right. But Die Hard with a Vengeance goes to Andrew's squad. Mike, your round 2 pick.
All right. So I have on my list, I'm debating between two of them, but I'm going to go with this one. It's one of the only ones on my list, but I think the third one is actually outright the best of the three, and that's Thor Ragnarok.
Fuck off.
The Thor Ragnarok, the dose of Taika just brought so much new life into this character that continued as, within the next Avengers movies as well. The first two Thor movies, Dark World in particular, was not very good. And the first one is not super memorable if you're looking at all of the MCU, but the third one is like it's the roller coaster movie. It's the amusement park ride of all of the Marvel movies. It's the most fun you're going to have watching any movie in the entire series that they released in the MCU. Chris Hemsworth finally got to embrace the role. He was so stoic in a lot of ways. He had his moments in the first movies, but you could tell he was chewing scenery, having fun in the best way possible in that movie. Mm-hmm. And it also made great use of the Hulk. The Hulk is very difficult for a full movie, as we've seen in the other ones. He's tough to do as a primary character, but when he is, just to the side, he's perfect. And that was perfect use of Hulk as well. And the Grandmaster, just anything with Jeff Goldblum's immediately.
That's fair.
And Kate Blanchett is awesome as the main villain.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
This was the top of my MCU list.
Yeah,
Right.
same. This would have been my MCU pick if I had picked.
That was going to be my pick, but oh well.
Nice.
I mean, the moment when
top 3 MCU for sure.
Yeah. When Thor jumps from the balcony to the bridge with the slow-mo and Led Zeppelin and the lightning. Ugh.
The music budget for this had to have been insane because Led Zeppelin songs, getting the rights to Zeppelin songs, I've heard it's cost a pretty penny. So that had
Probably.
had
Use
been
it
like a
twice.
quarter of the budget just getting the music rights. But it plays perfectly. And I did
What
not
if
know
you take
anything
the song and then just say "Come with me" like a few times?
Well, I didn't know anything about Taika Waititi before this movie. I did he was not on my radar, and like it feels like after this movie was released, he was on everybody's radar.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Him voicing Korg, the rock
Korg
alien. Oh, hi. This is me. I'm Korg.
Piss off,
It's a bad impression. Sorry, guys.
It's all right.
Korg is
We do
wonderful.
tons of bad impressions on this show. You're
You
fit
haven't
right
pulled you up.
I didn't print enough pamphlets.
So when looking at the MCU, when you looked at the third ones of all of them, they all kind of fell flat. I felt like I think one more may get mentioned, but I just feel that one feels weird for me. But this one was the only one where it's just like they went, okay, we're actually gonna just like completely take the character and just make it fresh, just renew it, just like we're gonna pretend we tried doing it as a Shakespearean epic with Branagh, didn't work. We tried doing it as just a basic superhero film, didn't work. Let's just give it to the funny man from the vampire movie. And it worked perfectly. And that feels like with that and like Guardians of the Galaxy, that feels like this opened up this brand new version for the MCU, which is going to be amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
And the score again. I know I talk about music a lot, but the score from Mark Mothersbaugh with the synth and the very 80s vibe.
Yeah. And you get another amazing Matt Damon cameo. Am I thinking the right one?
Surprise,
Yeah.
Great surprise, Matt Damon.
He is the king of cameos.
Are we going to mention him again today? We'll see.
Possibly.
Yeah. Did you see the letterbox that someone created? That's like surprise Matt Damon.
Ah, nice.
No, I should look at that because it's not going to appear on Sunday on FPTL. I've not written questions all about that because I stole it.
Best one's still Euro Trip, though. My favorite one from
for sure. Scotty doesn't know. So good.
So Mike takes Thor Ragnarok. Good pick. Tony, your turn, sir.
Okay, so I'm in between two. All right, I'm going to go for, because he got mentioned in the first round, I'm going to go for the film that made British cinema.
No.
Yes. Because there was a film series in the 60s, but it was doing okay. It was doing fine. Like Ian Fleming wrote a few good books. And there was one that it came, when this one hit, it was like, okay, this is the blueprint. This is what a spy film needs to be. This is everything that we want from a James Bond film. This is what cinema is going to be. Like, this was everything about this just felt so like Spielberg almost like took the blueprint off it and then, oh, I'm gonna make it even bigger for the like ET and stuff like that for the blockbusters. It's Goldfinger.
For sure. I mean, I'll be honest. I saw Goldfinger. I'll be honest. I saw Goldfinger. I didn't even realize it was the third one. I thought it was like Dr. No, then Goldfinger. I didn't even know there was a film until I was looking stuff up.
Hey, From Russia with Love is good too.
It is.
Don't sleep on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jake, you had quite the reaction when you saw the way he was leading with his description.
Yeah,
60s British. Come on, I knew exactly where it was going.
Yeah, I mean, this was definitely on my list. This was pretty high up. It's my third favorite Bond movie. I would say after Casino Royale and On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which is extremely underrated. It's so good. Like everything around George Lazenby is like elite level. But anyway, yeah, Goldfinger. Yeah, like Tony said, it set the blueprint, I think, for not just Bond movies, but really for all spy movies going forward. You see the influence in just, I mean, yeah, Austin Powers, obviously. The villain for the third one is directly inspired by Goldfinger.
I don't remember.
He is still one of the better Bond villains. He's very high up there, even though he had to be dubbed in real life.
Yeah.
Odd Job is probably still the most iconic henchmen. I think it's close between him and Jaws, but I would give it to Oddjob, especially because he was only in one movie.
Plus GoldenEye, kind of like the game, kind of built up.
I was gonna write. Don't use our job.
Yeah.
Mike, I saw you nodding along. Is this one of the ones that were on your list?
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. Like, I looked at the James Bond movies because in a way you could potentially pick 4 different ones, but that would have been the first one.
Nice. Tony likes to do that. Tony likes to snag ones.
I do. No, but also, just quickly, with Goldfinger, it's also the one where it's the most memorable things happen. You have the woman in gold on the bed dead. That's like the most. That's probably one of the most memorable death scenes in the entirety of Bond. And also, it has the line, "No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die," as he's about to get his dick blown off by a razor. Like that is what you think of when you think of Bond. It's just like you.
100%.
The movie is also the first of many uses of many Bond tropes. The Aston Martin, the Martini, I think is in that movie.
Yeah.
The over-the-top, names for Bond girls. Pussy Galore is in that movie.
Yeah.
So
I wasn't gonna say it.
There's a lot of first times in that movie, and even in Skyfall, they referenced it a lot with the Aston Martin and other things that I don't remember quickly.
It's all right. Don't worry about it. So Tony takes the third Bond movie off the board in Goldfinger. Jimmy, sorry I took that away from you, but hopefully you got something else up your sleeve.
I was going to go with Thor Ragnarok. Well, I lost that. I was going to go with Goldfinger. I lost that. So, Tony, I might piss you off and go with Rocky 3, but I'm not going to do that. All right. I'm going to go on a technicality, I think. So, I'm going to still be in the geek realm because I like comic book movies. I do not have a poster of this one, though. So, it's going to be brand new.
You're off the show.
I don't know if it's on your wall, but we'll see. So, this is the third time this actor has appeared in a solo movie, which is Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Logan. This is the one I'm going to go with. It's a technicality. I know he played the character multiple times, but you got Origins Wolverine, The Wolverine, and then Logan, which is the best Wolverine movie by far on that list.
Competition.
It's almost by default, yeah.
Hey, Jimmy.
Let's be real.
I haven't seen it yet.
Do it.
Yeah, do it.
Yep.
Seriously vanished.
It's not. I didn't do it. So yeah, Logan, Hugh Jackman being Old Man Logan is really good. You got Patrick Stewart as Sir Patrick Stewart as Professor Xavier, showing a lot of grief in his scenes, having maybe killed a lot of mutants in his in that timeline. His death scene is heartbreaking.
Spoilers!
Oh shoot! Sorry.
Okay, don't worry.
It's been over 10 years.
Is it really been over 10 years?
Maybe.
3.5 years, I think that was.
I don't think. Yeah, I was just saying.
No, I think it's actually 3 years to the day. I think it actually came out either today or yesterday, 3 years ago.
4 years ago.
4 years.
4 years, yeah.
It feels like 25 years ago, but yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say 2020 happened. It's been 20 years since.
Hugh Jackman's like ageless. I swear.
I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back as Wolverine in the MCU, but I digress. What I want to say about Logan is also the relationship with Hugh Jackman and what's her name? Daphne Keane, who plays X-23, I think is her name.
Mm-hmm.
It's the backbone of the movie. Her relationship with him, the way he cares for her. It's for anyone who has played The Last of Us on PS4 or 3, whatever game it is. It feels the same way. Because in The Last of Us, you got the older guy with the little girl, and they care for each other in a, well, it's not an apocalyptic world, but anyway.
Yeah. It was originally 3 and then remastered for 4.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. What else? On Logan, I want to say the ending. Where Okay, I'm not going to do that, Peggy, but I'm going to do this.
No, don't worry about. Don't
That's
worry. I don't trip out about that stuff. Don't worry about it.
For anyone who has seen the ending, this is also a heartbreaker at the end.
Absolutely.
I was gonna say, are you gonna go through a whole thing of Logan, and not talk about the girl? Like,
I'll try not. So just to close on Logan, I do not know who scored the movie. This is one I forgot.
Right.
But it's still a pretty good score. And that's it. I think I'm done with Logan. James Mangold did a terrific job on the movie.
Totally cool. I saw some reactions from the panel when you named it, though. It looks like it was on a few people's lists.
I didn't think to be that sneaky.
It was definitely on the list. It would have been the one. Okay, today. So it would have been the other comic book movie I would have picked.
Yeah.
If I did, because everything you said, I totally agree with about this movie. It's fantastic.
Cool.
This is my favorite film featuring a superhero.
That's some high praise.
That's a good choice.
So the way I say that, it's not a superhero film in the base of like you have goody versus baddie, fight. It's like the ones where it's like they have that superhero character, but it's done. The story is completely different. It's something different. Like it was always the Dark Knight in that role, and then but when Logan came out, it's just like, wow, holy crap, you're one of the best westerns of the 21st century.
Fair enough.
And it's just like, and like Hugh Jackman absolutely hits it out of the park and just an incredible performance. And the fact that Daphne Keane, apart from I think she's in His Dark Materials on TV, but the fact that she hasn't been like casting in like every single movie that it's like, and like Hugh Jackman hasn't just gone, this is my child now in every film I'm ever in. You're just missing a trick.
One other thing about Logan. There's one funny moment when they escape the compound at the beginning of the movie. They try to ram through a fence, and the fence doesn't give out. That's the first time I've seen that in a movie. That's funny. No, not a big spoiler, Peggy.
No, I'm. It'll go out in here one and out the other. I'm good. Don't trip about that. But Logan is on Jimmy's squad now, and it's over to Jake to close out round number 2. Jake, you're up.
So I'm glad I have 2 picks because I was between 2 movies, so I'm just going to take them both back to back.
I'll either bring up the one though.
It's nice how that works out. But I am going to, for my second pick, I'm going to pick the second oldest movie that has been picked so far. Staying in the Western genre, I am picking the movie with maybe the most iconic score of all time, so much so that I use it as my alarm clock for everything.
Wow.
It is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
I'm using that at my wedding, so.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah, that's my alarm clock for when I wake up. It's for like when I have to set a timer. That's the alarm that goes off, is that score, the whistle. Yes, that one.
I can't do it very well. Tony see me try to, my whistle's very hit or miss. I can either do it or not do it at all. So
I am Sergio Leone makes my kind of Western. Like I like Sergio Leone Westerns more than John Ford Westerns. Once Upon a Time in the West is my favorite Western of all time. This is probably number 2 or 3. Just all 3 of the main actors are just absolutely phenomenal in their roles. Particularly Lee Van Cleef as the Ugly. He just has one of those incredible faces that is just kind of inimitable. I mean, you see him come up later in Escape from New York, and it feels good to see him in Escape from New York after you see him in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And the Mexican standoff they have, scored to one of the most incredible, most amazing pieces of film music ever, The Ecstasy of Gold, it's one of my favorite scenes in movie history. I'm desperately need to rewatch this, but I couldn't let this pass up because it's just an incredible movie. That's right. It is the good shit.
Yeah. You got a lot of nods from Mike while you were talking there. Mike, was this one on your list, I'm assuming?
Oh yeah, 100%. And what you're saying about the score, just you know.
Anything else?
I'm gonna be honest. I thought this was gonna be taken by the time it got to me in round 1. I had those two were slightly higher, but I definitely had it high up there.
Nice.
I haven't seen it, so
No worries.
You really should, because it's
I heard the score, but I didn't see it.
But I didn't pick Good, the Bad, and the Ugly because it's not my favorite of the trilogy. I have this weird thing with it where it's just like it's fine, but Fistful of Dollars is A, a lot shorter, and B, a lot better. And it's just like it doesn't get talked about because everyone just goes straight to Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, go straight to that score, go straight to the final scene, and it's like it's a great film, but it's just like from there, just like just this one on the side, the first one, just like give that a watch first, and you'll realize what's much better.
I like the Fistful of Dollars better when it was called Yojimbo. Just saying.
True. Also, just quickly, if you've not seen it, Duck You Sucker. This was Sergio Leone's film from the 70s, which is actually incredible.
Good pick.
All right, good way to close out round 2. Tony, recap away if you would be so kind.
Absolutely. Okay, so Andrew went first. He went with Die Hard with a Vengeance. Mike went with Thor Ragnarok. I went with Goldfinger. You went with Logan, and Jake went with The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
All right, over to round 3. Jake, what was the other one you were debating between?
Okay, so the people who would disapprove of my Return of the King pick will be very happy with this pick because it's ostensibly part of a horror franchise, but it's really not a horror movie. It's more of a comedy with horror elements. It's my favorite movie of this trilogy. I am picking Army of Darkness.
I thought you were going to go with The Hobbit, the last one.
No, absolutely not. That is probably the absolute lowest one on my list. I hate that movie. But anyway, Army of Darkness, on the other hand, I absolutely adore because it's so quotable. I mean, I quote that movie a lot.
This is my boom.
Hey, Payson.
Yeah. Why do you think I'm 50? I mean, I'm like 2 months older than you, Aaron. Quiet. Anyway, yeah, it's just so quotable. It's like Hail to the King, baby.
Groovy.
Badu Barado necktie. You're between Jack and shit, and Jack just left town. Bruce Campbell is just oozing charisma in this movie. He just that chin just is doing work. So much work in this movie. And I love how, yes, that as well. I love the kitschiness of the effects. Like, obviously those effects would not fly in 2021, but I love how kitschy they are. And like one of my favorite small things from this movie, there's a point like in the final battle where one of the skeletons just runs into the middle of the screen. He's like, "Let's get the hell out of here!" And it's just really cheesy looking, but it's just
what does the skeleton say?
"Let's get the hell out of here!"
Thank you. I missed it the first time around. What?
I don't know what happened. I just felt the British urge.
If anything, you should take me off for asking him to repeat it.
Yeah, I thought she was just doing that for fun, for laughs, but
I was.
Funny, my British accent isn't as bad as you think. I was being silly there, but
Tony's been misfiring with his jokes for a few days now, so
that is very true.
See, again, you should have taken me out. But I saw a few reactions from the panel on there. I am assuming that Army of Darkness was at least an honorable mention, if not higher.
Much
it was going to be in my next picks if available.
Everyone keeps snipering your picks.
Ash is my favorite character in film history, period. So,
yeah.
I do.
Army of Darkness is not my favorite of the three, which is why I didn't lead with that. Evil Dead 2 is it's in my top 5 movies, period. So,
nice.
It's tough to, not have that movie. If it was Evil Dead 2, I would have been. If this was 2, Evil Dead 2 would have been my number 1 pick overall. But Army of Darkness is so wonderful, and it's also very cool that there's four different versions of the movie too, depending on which cut you see of the movie. There are 2 different endings and 2 full different cuts that go with those endings. So.
Oh wow.
Well, Jake does like those movies that have alternate endings. I've noticed him and his obsession with Clue. Yeah.
One ending much more bleak than the other.
Okay, the one I saw was at the supermarket where all
Yeah, so there's another one. There's another ending. If you want me to, I can just outright say he goes into his sleep and oversleeps. He takes the spell, oversleeps, and wakes up after the apocalypse, and he's the only person alive.
Hi.
So
Hi, doggy.
Oh, what was?
So
And
the Evil Dead series has always been good at making movies with low budgets. The first movie was done on a $500,000 budget, I believe.
Yeah.
Army of Darkness was 11 million. It says on my internet page. So yeah, it's pretty good with that low of a budget. I'm wondering what you could do with triple the budget or even.
Well,
higher.
that's what I love about Sam Raimi coming back to Spider-Man is more Bruce Campbell cameos. So
yes,
always a plus whenever Bruce Campbell appears. I will agree with that. All right, Army of Darkness kicks off round number 3. Jimmy, where are you going?
Okay. So Tony, I told you I wasn't gonna pick Rocky 3. I'm still not gonna pick that one. You're safe. I think. I was thinking that the first 2 picks were easy, and the last one in my list is also easy, but the middle 2 rounds are the hardest for me. I'm gonna go with something out of the geek world for once. Yes, for once in my life. It's an action franchise, a recent action franchise that has been releasing movie left and right since 2014, starring one Mr. Anderson, Mr. Keanu Reeves.
Okay.
Starting with John Wick in 2014, releasing Chapter 2, I think 2 or 3 years later. And then my pick for this round, Chapter 3, Parabellum, which is a combination, I believe, to this point of what John Wick is really about. Okay, you got a horse kicking a guy in the face like 3 times at the beginning of the movie. You got Halle Berry training dogs to be literal killers. Peggy, don't train your dog to be a killer, please.
This one could never be a killer.
Yeah.
She's too much of a sweetheart, aren't you, babe?
You got Lawrence Fishburne as the Bowery King, I believe is his name. He got slashed by Zero at the middle of the movie. Then comes back at the end. We all thought he was dead, but he and Keanu are going to team up for Chapter 4, which is going to be great. And also Zero, the character played by Mark Dacascos, who is the ninja kind of main antagonist that Keanu fights at the end. He's really great. He's like a giant fanboy of John Wick. And even him and his 2 students, during the fight, they all like, "Oh, I'm sorry, John. Can I pick you back up?" And they're like, there's a big begrudging respect between all of them. Chad Stahelski directed the movie for this one. I think he did all 3. And, he's coming from, I think he was a stunt choreographer before the John Wick trilogy. So with what he does in the movie, you can see he has a love of action, and he knows how to do action scenes in general. And I don't want to say the gore, but it's explicit. At the beginning, there's a guy who he kind of puts a book in his face and slams the head with the book.
Boba.
Pretty much in the library, no less. They had to keep quiet, I guess. So yeah, my pick is John Wick Chapter 3, which is my favorite of the trilogy, with the first one is in my second place and Chapter 2 and it's like first 2 and 3. It's, the difference in the ranking isn't really that high.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about the third one of the John Wick series, and Jake looked like you had this one on your list for sure with the way you were nodding along with what he was saying. Or am I wrong?
It would have been an honorable mention for me. I prefer Chapter 2 personally, but the knife fight in Chapter 3 is the best action scene in the franchise, in my opinion. My jaw was on the floor in the movie theater while I was watching that. And to me, the movie can't really quite get to that height. after that.
After that,
yeah. After that, it's such an incredible scene. You can't. It's hard for anything to kind of come close. I do love Mark Dacascos. I'm a huge fan of the Raid franchise, so I love the two antagonists from the two Raid movies play Zero's two sort of henchmen. So that was a nice nod to maybe the best action franchise of the last decade. So yeah, it's a good pick, though, definitely.
When you watch Taken, for instance, when he jumps over a fence and it takes like 15 cuts, then you watch this fight that Jake mentioned, and it's one long single take, basically. It's not even. I don't get why Taken had to do 15 takes, cuts, not takes.
Because he's an old man now, ladies.
Look, he only has a certain set of skills. Okay.
Jumping over fences is not one of them.
Exactly. I'll be honest, I only saw the first two. I haven't seen the third one yet.
I'm in the exact same boat. I know that I'll like it. It's just that there's other ones that are similar that I want to watch before I watch that one again. Like I've watched like the first It Man recently, and it's just like I would rather go down that route and watch more of them rather than like watch the bastardized American version, which is still great. But it's just like I want to see people punch each other in the face.
Well, side note, it's really hard to translate that game into a movie. All I gotta say.
So Jimmy takes John Wick 3 Parabellum. Tony, you're up, sir.
Okay, so I think Peggy, you've suffered enough.
Are we finally getting to my favorite trilogy?
I think it's time to talk about Before Midnight.
Yay! Take it away.
Before Midnight, obviously, Richard Linklater. It's the tale of Jesse and Celeste. I'd say
Celine.
Celine.
Who the fuck's Celeste?
I don't know who Celeste is, but Celine is in the movie.
Different movie, Tony.
I know. I'm an idiot. But yeah, it's these films are just delightful. They're some of the best written films you'll ever see. Just like the romance in them, just like feels realistic. The way they talk to each other is just so perfect. And Before Midnight, it gets real. It's one of those ones where, it's real, and also it holds up. Because there's always that fear of just like with those type of movies, just like it's been 18 years since the original, just like it's gonna fall off a cliff, it's just gonna be shit. It's just like, but no, it actually really holds up.
Mm-hmm.
And Ethan Hawke is just Ethan Hawke.
He's one of my favorites. But yes, my favorite trilogy, and I love the fact that like you get like the kind of the fairy tale in the first one. Spoiler alert: the reuniting in the second, and then shit gets like. Becomes like more reality, more real in the third one, where it's not all just like, oh, we love each other. Like there's some arguments, like they get into it a little bit. So I just like the fact that they didn't sugarcoat the relationship and say, oh yeah, it's been 9 years and everything's still smooth sailing, clear, like just not rocky waters at all. Like no, shit goes down in relationships. You got to deal with some shit. So I like the fact that they took that turn with this one. Gentlemen, are you familiar with the Before trilogy? Jimmy's
thanks to you, thanks to you, yes, because I finally watched it for the first time last year with your encouragement. This would have been my next pick if it had gotten that far. Partially for pandering, but also because it's a phenomenal movie. The last 30 to 40 minutes is basically a horror movie almost. Just how emotionally intense it gets between the two of them. And it's definitely, I obviously have not been married, but that is not a ringing endorsement for the institution of marriage. Just gonna, sorry, Mike, in advance.
Celine goes a little psycho.
But no, it's a phenomenal movie, absolutely, and I adore the trilogy, and will be forever thankful to you for finally getting me to watch it.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. But yeah, if nobody else has anything to add to it, we can press on. That's okay. But I'm very happy that you took that one, Tony. Mike.
All right. Like I said, we've reached the point now where I don't have any of the movies I have picked as like my number one of their trilogies. So I'm going to go to the one that is my favorite trilogy, and it's a very low-hanging fruit, and that's Return of the Jedi.
That's fair.
Fair enough.
It seems like the most obvious answer at this point. Of the original trilogy, it's my least favorite of the three. That is not a knock against Return of the Jedi because those are, the first two were two of the most iconic movies of all time. I'm not saying that this one isn't. Return of the Jedi has probably my favorite opening scene of any Star Wars movie, though. The whole Jabba's palace sequence is fantastic. Leading up to everything that happens with the barge and everything. Han coming out of carbonite, and they all go along their own ways. And yes, there's the Ewoks, and everybody can say what they want about the Ewoks. I'm actually kind of indifferent about them. I don't love them. I don't hate them. But I know I'm in the minority. Most people go one way or the other. And
that's one way.
The only thing I don't understand about Return of the Jedi, when the Ewoks have them and they're all tied up, and then they think like C-3PO is a god or whatever, how can Luke should be able to get himself untied from that thing?
I think
are we discussing plot holes?
Was he just biding his time until he could okay.
He didn't want to appear that threatening himself.
Right.
Okay,
he would rather kind of freak out with magic.
Yeah, everything that happens on Tatooine in that movie, you could dissect that so much more than the rest of the movie if we're being, realistic, honestly. It does have, the ending is, obviously there's different versions of it now. I miss Yub Nub, if I'm not being honest. If I'm being honest. Yeah. But, yeah, exactly. But again, it's Star Wars, and even though it's number 3 of the 3 for me, it's still Star Wars. So
I feel you on that, gentlemen. Anybody else have that on their list? Jimmy?
I did.
Sure.
Yeah.
I was thinking about
at least. I wasn't gonna go with Revenge or Rise of Skywalker. That's for sure. So.
Exactly.
Definitely not Rise of Skywalker.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite moment in the movie is when Luke sees that. Well, after cutting Vader's hand, he's like, "Whoa, he's human, like me." And he goes, "No, I'm a Jedi, like my father was before me. You lost, Emperor." I can't quote the movie by heart, but it sounds like that.
Before. Yeah,
something like that. Something along those lines.
Oh, that's good. And Vader turning is okay. If you have the version that he doesn't say anything before dropping the Emperor, because there's a version where it's like, "No."
No.
It's way better when he doesn't say a thing.
Yeah. I am now playing the rooftop scene from Can't Hardly Wait in my head, where he's like, "Oh, Luke doesn't push Vader." He's like, "Well, he should have. The guy cut his hand off." Anyone?
I'll be honest.
That movie Can't Hardly Wait.
Return probably is my favorite. It's just I love the Ewoks. I love the opening scene at Jabba's palace, and it's the one that I watched the most as a kid. So it still just has it. I can understand that Empire is probably the better film, like logically, storytelling wise. But it's just but still, if I'm going by my heart, I'm just like, give me fucking Ewoks every day of the week.
I think it's my number 5, but everyone's entitled to it. So
any of the original 3 is your favorite, and I'm not going to strongly argue against you because they're all such wonderful films.
Yeah, I think I like A New Hope the best because that was, like you said, that was the one I watched the most out of all the 3 of the original 3.
Jedi was the first one I've seen.
Clones.
Yeah, best way to start a trilogy: start with the last movie. Right.
It worked for you for Die Hard, I guess.
Yeah, hey, there you go. Call back.
Yeah. Wait, Die Hard with a Vengeance is way easier on its own than Star Wars. You can't watch Return of the Jedi without watching Empire and New Hope. Die Hard with a Vengeance is a more contained movie.
It's a singular. Yeah.
Jedi is.
That's fair. But Mike, excellent choice with Return of the Jedi. Andrew, your turn to close out round number 3.
Okay, I think I'm gonna go IAG, and I wasn't hugely into it when it was Chris Columbus, but obviously Home Alone 3. Sorry, I meant Prisoner of Azkaban. No, but yeah, Harry Potter and Prisoner of Azkaban.
I was writing down Harry, and then you said home. I'm like, what? And then
no.
I dare you to take Home Alone 3.
Not happening. Wait, was that even in theaters?
Three might have been.
I don't know.
I believe so.
I think 3 was, but 4 and 5 were not.
Okay.
Gotcha.
There's a fourth and a fifth.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
Rue was not in the chat for this one. Dang.
But
It's
yeah,
also alone. Sorry.
Yeah, but yeah, it wasn't until the franchise got dark, or at least as dark as Harry Potter. You could, well, I guess it gets a little darker later, but yeah, it wasn't until it started getting dark that I really started appreciating the Harry Potter franchise as someone who didn't read the books. So yeah, I really liked this movie.
Is it your favorite of the series?
Yeah, I would probably, yeah, because especially because of it turning my heart to Harry Potter as being a decent franchise.
Right.
Because as I said, the first two really just didn't do it for me. Yeah.
Ah, no, I got them out of order. Damn it. I got all the Harry Potters in here.
It's the first movie in the franchise where someone throws a punch at someone else. Yeah.
So yeah, this probably
Jimmy
would have
likes
been,
violence.
Yeah. Hey.
Watch my picks.
Yeah. Right. This probably would have been my other geek pick, maybe even my next pick if it had lasted that far. Anybody who knows me, I'm a huge Harry Potter guy. So that's not a surprise. But this is what happened. This is Exhibit A for what happens when you get like an A-list director to direct a franchise movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody who's like an elite directorial talent who goes into franchise filmmaking, and he just elevates it on a storytelling level, from a visual level. I love, it's like really subtle, pretentious shit, but I love how I love how he uses nature in the movie as this sort of looming threat. And you think there's these like random shots of just like nature just behaving, but it really adds to the mood of the movie. And I love Cuarón. I think he's a genius. Yeah, it's weird because this is my favorite movie, but not even probably in like 4 or 5 of favorite books. But yeah, and it's entirely because of Cuarón, I think.
Cool.
It's funny when you think about it. If you look at the story at the beginning, if it wasn't for the bus, there wouldn't be a story at all because it would meet Sirius right there. Whoop.
That's the story of Lulu Bus is just always making fucking your life up that little bit.
Also, Gary Oldman, perfect Sirius Black.
I was literally about to say that.
Yeah. Oh. So good.
Look, like, I know Alan Rickman gets the most love because he does a fantastic performance the entire way through. Gary Oldman, low-key, probably is just like the best like solo performance, especially in Azkaban. Just everything about it just works perfectly. And just like, yeah, everything. Sirius Black, you're amazing.
You care about him more than almost any other adult. Like you've got Dumbledore and McGonagall and stuff, but you genuinely care about Sirius by the end of this movie and throughout the rest of his time in the franchise.
Also, this is the first movie that Dumbledore is not played by Richard Harris, so there was quite an apprehension on what Michael Gambon was going to do in the role. I think he nailed it. It's not the same energy as Richard Harris, that's for sure, because Richard Harris has a calm and really calming presence, but Cuarón is all not crazy, but when they come back to the tower at the end and he's like, whoa, what's happening? Oh, goodbye, good night. You're like, what just happened?
My favorite thing about Cuarón doing this though is just like, I kind of hope people watch like Prisoner of Azkaban went, oh, that was fantastic. I'm going to watch his last movie, the Spanish sex movie, Y Tu Mama Tien. It's like, I think there's a massive crossover between Harry Potter fans and Y Tu Mama Tien.
But Harry Potter 3 closes out round 3.
Good
Tony,
pitch.
you are up, sir.
Absolutely. Okay, so Jake went Army of Darkness. Jimmy went John Wick Chapter 3. I went Before Midnight. Mike went Return of the Jedi. And Andrew went Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. So, and just quickly before that, Andrew go for his penultimate pick. Here's what's coming up on the rest of the month on Fancy Film Fights. So 10 TV 10 movies. So it's any TV show that got turned into a movie, or vice versa. 17 movies featuring Ireland in any way, shape, or form. It's St. Paddy's Day. 24th, Build a Heist Crew, and then 31st, Colourful Film. So a movie or actor, director with colour in their name. And then April, we should be releasing next week.
Nice.
Yeah, we should be coming up with those soon. If you got any ideas, feel free to message me and let me know. But we've got a list of like 100 we still got to get through. But alas, we got to get through this draft right now. Round 4. Andrew, over to you. What are you thinking? What'd you pick?
Okay, this is a sentimental pick, and hopefully I counted correctly, and I'm also reaching to take it, but I'm going with the Muppets Take Manhattan.
Ah, nice.
I really loved it as a kid.
Wow.
Oh, I just love that
that?
reaction.
Was that your last pick, Tony?
That was going to be my final pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I loved it growing up as a kid. I mean, who doesn't love the Muppets? And it was a solid movie. And also once again, being in the New York area has a little extra bit of it being that location as well. But yeah.
So, Tony, feel free to go talk about this one since it got snatched away from you.
The Muppets are amazing.
Yeah,
and everything about the Muppets works perfectly. And like the original Muppet film has all the charm and wonder of like it being the first thing and like the journey and everything. The Muppet Caper is cool because it's like almost like a film noir parody. But Takes Manhattan is just like this is like the Muppet Show come to life like on a big screen. This is where it all comes together. It's just like they have the musicals, they have the songs, they have everything, they have the wedding. Just like yes.
Really? Wow, Aaron.
The Muppets I have seen a Muppet movie, but this is one of the ones that I have not. This is a blind spot for me.
This is actually the very first movie I saw in theaters. I was 1.5, but it's the very first movie that my parents took me to see.
What year is that movie?
84.
Whoa.
Well, I don't feel so old anymore.
All of them, they all kind of blend together. Is this the one where Kermit and Peggy get married?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Somebody's getting married. Okay.
That's the
that
one
song's gonna
where-
be stuck in my head the rest of the night now.
That's the one where Miss Piggy gets amnesia, right? Am I confusing?
No, Kermit gets amnesia.
Oh,
that's
it.
I didn't remember. That's big. We're kidding.
Yeah, because Kermit ends up working in an advertising executive firm. But it's like, and the human characters in Muppet Take Manhattan as well really work as well because they have the whole cafe scene, and Julia Donald, who plays the daughter of the owner, just like she's one of the finest people to work with Muppets.
Then that goes to Frank Oz.
That's it. I find like obviously not the people that actually got their hands up.
I know. I'm
people
just
acting
joking. I'm
along,
kidding.
Yeah. I was about to too busy directing.
Much better than Tim Curry.
Hey now.
I was gonna say that's fighting words when Jake's in the room.
It's the worst Muppet film. I'm sorry.
I saw it in theaters when I was like 4, so I have no memory of it whatsoever. So you might actually be right. I have no idea.
It takes everything that Christmas Carol did perfectly and then just does it poorly.
Definitely haven't seen that one.
That's true. But Andrew, thank you for taking Muppets Take Manhattan away from Tony. I like to see him upset. I don't know why. I just do. Mike, over to you.
Yeah, I'm looking at what I have on my list, and I'm going to take the low-hanging fruit. It's the biggest one I see on my list, and that's Back to the Future Part 3.
Nice.
Whoa, that's not a low-hanging
Not low-hanging fruit at all.
And again, I just revealed how old I am. So I saw Part 2 in theaters, and they had the trailer for Part 3 at the end of it, and that was the first time I remember being super surprised by something like that. I'm like, oh, there's going to be a 3 also. That was
it's the first time I remember them doing both movies. Yeah, exactly.
They were released the same year, I think, right?
Yeah,
1 year apart.
Well, it was 2 different calendar years, but 6 months apart or something like that.
Mm.
If I'm not mistaken. But yeah, Back to the Future 3 was great because it took the characters you know and love and threw them into a completely different setting. Making a Western out of Back to the Future. Who in their right mind saw that coming after the first 2, that they were going to go into the Old West? I know there are subtle hints of it, and that Doc says he'd like to go live in the Old West. but everything they do about it, especially, you know, they bring back, you know, Mad Dog, so you get to bring a Biff character back again, and
You
Jules
see
and Vern
the
being
old
the names of the
McFlies.
kids, and the flying train. There's just so much to love about it, and in a way, I'm borderline. You know, this is the kind of thing that I go back and forth with. I almost would say it's better than 2.
It's definitely better than 2.
Yeah,
I would agree.
I like 2 better growing up.
I just remember watching 2, and then the DeLorean got struck by lightning. I'm like, how the hell are they going to figure out a way back? Like, when they go back, like how? And then they figured out a way.
Magic.
Yeah.
It's the most like enclosed of the 3 too, because it just takes place primarily in one time frame. You don't have the time travel element as much. It's there at the beginning, it's there at the end, but it's singularly focused. So the movie itself is a little bit more linear than the other ones, which makes it more, you know, there's a lot in Back to the Future too that if you really think about can give you a headache, you know, about what's going on.
Yeah.
But this one is the most straightforward.
Hydrate
It's ton of
level
fun.
4, please. Sorry. I gotta stop.
It's again, I'm looking at this. I could put that on right now and have a field day watching it. So yeah.
No, excellent pick.
Yeah.
Jake's pissed.
Yeah, that was my next pick.
Yeah. When you said low hanging fruit, I thought you were going to say something else. We'll see.
Alien 3?
There's tons of options. Let's just go there.
I guarantee that.
Remains to be seen. We'll see. Maybe Tony will pick the low hanging fruit franchise from which you speak. Tony, what you going with?
I'm looking.
Come on, Superman 3. Do it.
Do I go with? All right, I'm gonna go one that saved this franchise.
Oh.
So there's a film that came out with Tom Cruise that was directed by John Woo, and it just didn't work. Everything about it was just and instead it got left to the side. Like Cruise went off to do other things, and then some guy that was from TV did a show called Lost. He went and picked up this franchise that's like no one really cared about much anymore. I went, oh yeah, I'm gonna be the best one. I'm gonna have Philip Seymour Hoffman be amazing in it. I'm just gonna set like you have this franchise over here that does well with the action stuff. I'm just gonna bring back the action stuff for here as well. It's Mission Impossible 3.
Yeah.
That was my next pick. You did it again.
In 2006.
Yeah, it was on my list, but I've never been a fan of it. Maybe I'll have to rewatch, but something about the Philip Seymour Hoffman plotline, I don't know, it didn't ring for me. But
it's at best the 4th best Mission Impossible movie to me. I like 4, 5, and 6 all better. Not in that order necessarily, but I just like the latter 3 Mission Impossible movies better than this one. Though Philip Seymour Hoffman is great. But it's sort of like how you get when, like, sort of the thing I said about Prisoner of Azkaban, when you get like an A-list director, when you get an A-list actor, like an Academy Award winner to play the villain. This was like the next thing he did after winning the Oscar for Capote.
Right.
And when you get someone like him to like really throw himself into this, you're going to get an iconic performance like this. Absolutely.
Okay. That's a good pick. I was going to use that then. Yeah, J.J. Abrams.
I can't do J.J. though. I can't give him that love. I'm sorry.
But he's the best director ever. He saves all our favorite series.
Go on. Sorry.
No, I was just making fun of people complaining about Superman.
Yeah.
I like the Star Trek reboot.
Yeah, no, Star Trek.
I hate Star Trek.
I have all 4 seasons of Felicity on DVD.
The one thing I don't really like about MI3 is the first scene of the movie is basically what happens at the end. When you introduce Philip Seymour Hoffman, yes, but he counts down from 10 to shoot his wife. I don't think it was necessary to show that at the beginning, personally. But I think the mission where they go to get Kerry Russell from Germany, I think that's my favorite part of the movie. The helicopter chase through a wind turbine field. I mean, it's cheesy, but it still works, I think.
Nothing wrong with cheesy, Jimmy. least
I
not in
like
my
cheese.
world. All right, so Tony takes Mission Impossible 3. Jimmy, so sorry that was taken before you, but you're on the clock now, buddy. What you got?
Hey Tony, do you remember I was telling you that I was gonna pick Rocky 3 at some point?
Is this where it is happening?
No.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm gonna go again on the technicality. So, there was a few movies I wanted to use, but I'm thinking about it, and I think this one is better than all of them. So once again, it's the third movie of a certain franchise with this actor. It's not a geek franchise in any means, but I couldn't use Goldfinger, so I'm going to use another movie in that franchise with a different actor. So I'm going to go with Skyfall, the third movie with Daniel Craig. Casino Royale is easily my favorite James Bond movie, but Skyfall is the third in my list. Basically, Sam Mendes took the premise of having Javier Bardem as the main villain. Even if he appears like in 45 minutes in the movie, he still has a great showing. You know, there's a scene where he comes and he explains, "Oh, I deal with rats on an island somewhere." That's a great introduction. And then he forces Bond to almost shoot the lady he was with. Then he's just like, "Oh, you missed her." Headshot. Thank you.
Now, hang on one second. I am not as familiar with the Bond series as most of y'all. Are we going to catch some flack on the poll later for this one?
I did not consider this for. Yeah, I wouldn't have counted this because I thought only Goldfinger would count.
If you count,
yeah, same
That's
here.
what I would.
If you count Logan, this one counts as well, I think.
Well, no, because it's that.
No,
I mean, that is like Wolverine in 3 different.
Yeah,
this
that's
is like
that's a separate franchise.
Chat, if you're not okay with it, I can use
I
it.
didn't think it was eligible, but I mean that's above my pay grade.
I would have, I didn't have it on my list, but I can see the argument because the goddamn film Spectre exists, and they made the Craig saga into a story of its own, like running through line. So I can see that being an argument, but like,
if it's not okay, I can pick another one. I don't really.
I'm thinking
really
just
mind.
to avoid the rain of shit that's going to fall upon you from a certain few people that won't watch the episode and just see the poll and then just let you have it.
Well,
That never happens.
But before you pick your new pick, I just want to say every time I think of Skyfall, speaking of my joke answer before, I just tell people it's James Bond doing Home Alone.
That's true. So, all right, let's go with Spy Kids 3D. Game over.
There you go. I dig it.
Not really. Come on. I'm not doing that.
I thought this would be fun. Damn it.
That was on my think about it list, actually.
Yeah, I was about to say Spy Kids is on my honorable mentions as well.
Not on
See?
Oh, what am I gonna do now? Because as I told you, my fifth pick is already settled in concrete, but this one is
dude.
no.
What I'll do,
I guarantee you,
Well, I'll
I'm
take
not
quickly-
going to pick either of the ones you're thinking.
I know, but
Rocky 3.
I'll give Jimmy.
No, I'm not gonna do Rocky. Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna pick some comedy franchise. You know, we talked about low-hanging fruit recently. This one is my least favorite of the trilogy, personally, but I think it's still funny. It's Austin Powers and Goldmember.
That works.
Oh, wow.
That
I thought you were going to
counts.
say
Thank
something else.
Really? What was it?
I thought you were going to say 33 1/3.
Oh no! Spoiler, I guess. No.
No, it's not on my list, but
I haven't seen
of
it,
the
so-
comedy trilogies, that's the one I was thinking of.
I haven't seen The Naked Gun, so I can't.
Okay.
None of the Naked Guns?
Actually, the first one.
Okay, as long as you see
But
the first
I
one.
enjoy
First one's the best one.
Airplane. I enjoy Airplane and
Airplane is
Wrongfully
good.
Accused more for some reason. Anyway,
That's fair.
what was my pick?
Goldmember?
Goldmember.
Oh, yeah, thanks. So yeah, there's a cameo from Steven Spielberg at the beginning, for some reason, with Tom Cruise in the fake movie about Austin Powers. Again, it's cheesy, and who cares? Will Ferrell's is he back in that movie?
No, I believe he dies.
Damn, because his character is the best character in the franchise. So yeah, that's the one where Michael Caine appears in as Austin's and spoiler, Dr. Evil's father.
What? No.
This is the least spoilery spoiler I think I dropped. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, Goldmember, it's a solid pick. I mean, especially when you had to scramble after not getting the one you thought you were going to be talking about for a moment. Is this one that's going to be on? Was it on any of your guys' lists?
Honorable mention.
Honorable mention.
And scribbled towards the bottom if I needed something.
Yeah, and I already said about my comedy possibilities, so yeah, no.
Gotcha.
I mean, I could have used Final Destination 3, but I don't like that movie, so not gonna happen.
What's the set piece for that one?
The roller coaster.
3 is the roller coaster.
Okay.
I mean, I don't like doing roller coasters because of that movie.
Still enough around.
Stop giving out picks. Stop naming off things that people could possibly be taking.
I'm sorry, Tony.
No worries. It's all good.
All right, so Goldmember, a few final words.
He loves gold.
I mean, Mike Myers plays like 25 characters in that movie. Fat Bastard, Evil, Austin, and Goldmember.
That's 25.
I think isn't it that movie where Fat Bastard says, "I eat because I'm sad, and I'm sad because I eat.
I'm eat because I'm depressed. I'm depressed because I eat." It's a vicious cycle.
That's
It resonates.
funny, I think. He said it to Heather Graham.
I may be wrong again, but who cares? I mean, that quote resonates with me a little bit. It was a serious moment, but then fart. Whoops.
All good.
All right, I'm good. I'm done with that movie.
No, it's cool. Jimmy takes Austin Powers and Goldmember. Over to Jake for the end of round 4.
Okay, I'm debating whether to go art house or go more mainstream. With this, because I do like the mainstream one quite a bit, but screw it, I'm gonna lean into the art house here.
You have 2 picks.
Yeah,
No, I'm gonna lean into the art house for both of them.
Let's go to art house. Otherwise, I'll get mocked even more.
Yeah, I was gonna say I tried to keep my mouth shut earlier, but that was just egregious. Neither of the movies I'm picking are in Spanish, but they both will be in foreign languages.
Cool.
So the first one I'm going to pick is one that I watched on Monday in preparation for this. It is the final film in Park Chan-wook's Vengeance trilogy. I am picking Sympathy for Lady Vengeance. Is my pick.
I am not familiar with this one. Pray tell, Jake, what is this one about?
So the most well-known installment of this franchise is Old Boy. Which is the second installment of this franchise. And the hero of Old Boy plays the villain in this movie. So basically, this woman is released from prison after, I think it's 13 years, after being accused of murdering a 6-year-old boy. And basically, after she gets out of prison, she goes on this she basically plots her vengeance against the real killer in very elaborate ways. And this movie is just so gorgeous to look at. I mean, Park Chan-wook is just a really great visual director. And it does and it's very abstract throughout, especially at the beginning. There's a couple weird dream sequences in there, including one where she like basically holds a gun to the head of the real murderer, but his body is a dog. It's weird, but
sounds it.
Yeah, and it's sort of it's kind of a very elaborate plot because she's sort of using the other inmates from her time in prison to sort of help her accomplish various tasks toward her ultimate goal. But the final 30 minutes of this movie, when the real meat of it comes into it, is just absolutely just stunning, absolutely heartbreaking, just really gnarly filmmaking, and I think it's just it's a beautiful movie. I can't imagine anybody here on the panel has seen it, but I would recommend all three of these movies. But this one really surprised me in terms of how much I enjoyed it.
I've actually heard of it, but no, I haven't seen it.
From what country is it? You said it was okay.
South Korea. I'm waiting for the Spike Lee remake.
I am not.
Okay. Anywho, but yeah, never heard of it. But Jake, you've never really steered me wrong about movies before, so hey, never know. Sympathy for Lady Vengeance.
I'll be honest, Peggy, this probably isn't one of your films.
This
Probably
is not
not.
a Peggy. This is not a Peggy film.
Yeah, that's
No.
fair. I do have
next
my
pick
own
might be, though.
little niche aesthetic, I suppose. But all right, that closes out round 4. Tony, last recap before the final round.
So penultimate round, Andrew went first. He went Muppets Take Manhattan. Mike went Back to the Future Part 3. I went Mission Impossible 3. Jimmy went Austin Powers and Goldmember. And Jake Sympathy for Lady Vengeance.
All right, guys, 5th and final round. This is where you pick the third in a series or trilogy that you just have to have on your team, that you don't care what anyone thinks, that go with your gut, whatever you want. This is where you pick it. Jake, you're up. What you got?
Yeah, so the other ones I have on my list are movies that I like, but I'm not super passionate about. So I'm just going to pick the one that I think is probably objectively the best movie, which, again, going art house, going to Europe this time, specifically France, I am going with Three Colors Red is my pick. The final film in Krzysztof Kieslowski's Three Colors trilogy. I watched this whole trilogy over a span of like 2 days last year. This is what the Criterion Channel gets you. It's dope. But free plug. Anyway, yeah, so this I think is much more of a Peggy movie than Lady Vengeance is. I think all of the movies are good. I would rank them red, blue, white. White actually has Julie Delpy in it. Fun fact. Speaking French. But yeah, and so they're named after the colors. These movies might also fit the final topic of this month, which movies with color in the title. So yeah, so this one. They're all named after the colors because that's the primary sort of visual palette of the movie. Yeah. So there's a lot of M. Night Shyamalan in The Sixth Sense ain't got nothing on this movie when it comes to using the color red. But yeah, it's just a really interesting. So it's like basically this college student, or she's a part-time model. She meets this sort of older gentleman who is spying. I think he's spying on his neighbor. He has all these recordings. He has all these recordings of like different conversations, and it's just a really interesting relationship they have between the two of them. The older guy, he was in this movie Amour. I don't know if he was nominated for the Oscar for it, but it was Michael Haneke movie that got nominated for Best Picture. But yeah, anyway, if you're interested in sort of moody French cinema, this is the way to go. Three Colors Red, and that is my pretentious corner for the day.
Jake's Pretension Corner, new show on Fantasy Film or on Future Presentation. Excuse me, coming soon.
Good. Me and Aaron will co-host that.
There you go, digesting pretension.
He has enough shows already.
So I've always heard this trilogy being like the greatest trilogy of all time. It's always been up there with the Before trilogy as well. So I do need to get around to watching it one day.
Yeah, I can't say I've seen this.
It's the first I've heard of that one.
Yeah. But that's what Fantasy Film Fights is good for. Sometimes you get introduced to stuff that you never would have considered otherwise. So thank you, Jake. Were you gonna say something, Tony?
No.
Nope.
No, we're just gonna stay in awkward silence now.
All right. Anyways, guess we'll press on. Jake's team is full up. Jimmy, what are you selecting to round out your squad?
All right. I think this is the moment. Tony, I'm going to steal Oh no, never mind. I'm not gonna use Rocky 3 after all. Just give me 1 second.
I think Jimmy's got props.
Oh god.
I think Jimmy's got props.
He's
Oh,
going
he's got-
to Canada.
Okay, does Slapshot
Mighty
have
Ducks
3
3?
movies? Is there a Slapshot trilogy I'm unaware of?
Okay.
Like Mighty Ducks
Mighty
is the
Ducks,
only.
maybe? Yeah.
What Canadian films? Mike Myers. What's Mike Myers then?
I'm gonna pick the most Canadian pick of my list. So yeah, I think I heard the answer. The answer is yes. Mighty Ducks, the first movie.
Hey, there we go.
So for anyone who hasn't seen the Mighty Ducks, I'm gonna do a quick recap. Okay, in the first 2 movies, they win with questionable tactics.
Quack.
That's it.
Quack. Quack.
Then in the third movie, they hit high school. They get a scholarship. Gordon Bombay is not coaching them in that movie. You get there's a new coach from the NHL that goes there, and the team, especially the captain Charlie, he doesn't like the coach at all. Then in the first match, they take a 9-0 lead on the other team before the second overtime, the second period. I mean, with their usual tactics, but for some reason, the other team in the third period they rally and they tie the game and they tie. So the coach is pretty angry about that. So he tears the jerseys from the Ducks. Then a lot of stuff happens. Gordon Bobby goes to Charlie and try to tell him, what are you doing? Stand up, be a man. It's a coming of age story, and in the end, they win by playing real hockey. It's a 1-0 game, spoiler, but it's a 25-year-old movie, so who cares about that?
Nope, nobody does.
They win the game in a shortened goal, a 5-on-3 goal at the end with Goldberg. If anyone knows who Goldberg is.
Yeah. Was the goalie.
So yeah, the Mighty Ducks, in my opinion, is the best of the trilogy because it's really about the message.
I can't say I concur with that one being the best of the trilogy, the original. So
Yeah, same here. Like
But
1 and 2.
The reason I believe it's the best one is because, the first 2 movies are funny, but the message in the third one is really, it's basically like Rocky. It's no matter what the odds are, if you persevere in life, like in hockey, you're gonna go far. That's basically pretty much the message. And when I first watched the movie when I was young, I hated the coach because I was like, he's breaking up the team. But then I got older and I saw the movie again, and then I'm like, hey, the coach is right, not the team. So yeah, that's the reason, in my opinion, that this movie is the best in the trilogy. I know it didn't really make a lot of money, but I don't care about money.
You're entitled to your opinion. But I'm guessing that this is not one that people are like, oh, he snagged it from me. Damn it! I was hoping I was going to close out my team with. Yeah.
No,
sorry.
but I do have a soft spot for the Mighty Ducks movies because they were shot in Minnesota. Where I grew up.
Yeah.
So especially the first movie, which is the most set in Minnesota.
But the third one is too. So.
The third one is also set in Minnesota, but
Not
you see
mentioned
more.
as much.
They're more. They get around more in the first one. So for that, I'm always partial to the series, but mostly the first one.
I'm almost excited for the series coming up on
almost.
Disney.
Skeptical is a good word to use for that one.
Okay, so Jimmy closes out his team with Mighty Ducks number 3. Tony, where are you going to round out your team?
Okay, so I'm gonna go for. All right, I'm gonna go for this one. So I'm going for a romantic comedy.
Yay!
It honestly in 2021 it doesn't work. A film that this director made a few years ago says the line perfectly. This should not have been made by a straight white guy. But there's still some parts of it that really work. There's the characters work really well together, and it's probably some of the best writing Kevin Smith has ever done. Chasing Amy is not a perfect film, but it works so well, especially for that time period.
How in you can't...
Universe.
Really?
It's called the
I asked about it.
It was on my list.
I asked about it, about if the Buick universe
There's
counted.
Are you counting just because Jay and Silent Bob are the one constant through
Not
line?
just Jay and Silent Bob.
And also the storyline of those people who died in the pool.
Yeah,
I suppose I'm not a fan of allowing this.
Characters in Mallrats, so
Yeah, because
if I can get whatever movie I pick.
All I know is you're probably going to take some crap in the pool.
It's a trilogy. It's a series. There's
not.
3 points.
I decided to avoid it, but yeah.
Yeah, I decided to
did
avoid it for that very reason, but I wrote it down.
Yeah.
Just because I didn't want to go in there.
But it is a great movie.
I am not a fan of this being allowed.
Pick Rocky 3.
You're the
Come on.
host. You can shoot it down.
No, I'd rather see Tony catch a lot of flack later on.
Fine.
Use Rocky
You
3.
got a
Come
great
on.
heart, Peggy.
I think also this film has some of the best performances in the Kevin Smith film, like Jason Lee, Ben Affleck.
Jason Lee's best. Yep.
Oh, Jason Lee, like his best film, but it doesn't involve chipmunks.
I am partial to him in Dogma, but
Yeah.
I also
It's
just
great
like
in everything with Kevin Smith.
Central Air.
I'm partial to him in Mallrats.
Well, his name is Earl, but like, yeah, and it's one of those ones where it's like I'm not the biggest fan of Kevin Smith's work. It's like I'm not like Clerks as a series doesn't really work for me, but it's nice.
I'll be honest. If Logan is accepted, I think this one counts at 2.
That's fine. That's fine. I just hope he catches a lot of flack later, honestly.
it's more it's less nebulous than like Skyfall.
Right.
No offense to Jimmy, but
All right. Well, but
It is a continuation of a story, so yeah.
Yeah, isn't it? Amy's sister is the one that they talk about in Clerks. Or
Alyssa and Trisha Alyssa from Chasing Amy and Trisha from
the
Mallrats.
dish from Mallrats. Yeah.
Yeah, I just know they have that continuing storyline of the person who dies drowning in the pool, and then they, like in Clerks, they go to the funeral, I think, and then I forget what's in the other movies, but yeah.
Mallrats is the day before Clerks.
Yeah, it's just the day that she dies.
Yep.
But yeah, I guess I'll allow it. Anybody else want to chime in on Chasing Amy, or shall we press on?
Cheater.
All right, moving on. Mike, over to you. How are you rounding out your squad?
Yeah, this is tough. I have a couple of movies on here that I could pick.
We'll get to honorable mentions.
Yeah, so I'm trying to pick between them. I'm just because I've already taken something from a certain franchise, I'm gonna go elsewhere. I'm gonna say the Bourne Ultimatum.
All right.
The whole Bourne franchise, to me, is a pretty the first movie came out and surprised everybody. That movie didn't have a ton of hype coming into it, and then people saw the movie, and it's like, you got to go see this movie, you got to go see this movie. And then the next two were massive because of it. And the only thing that like doesn't have me putting Bourne Ultimatum over some of my other picks is that in the grand scheme of things, I haven't seen any 3 of those movies in a long time, and I do have a little bit of difficulty remembering what happens in each one.
Yeah.
So it's basically like one long continuous story, which is not a bad thing, but that's the only reason I wouldn't put it higher. But they're all 3 of them are wonderful movies, and all 3 of them have increasingly challenging car scenes, which at that point were a little bit of a lost art. And it's the third one where they, rather than just trying to outdo the other one, just made it a giant crash, if I remember correctly, to kind of just stop going like up and down stairs and stuff like that. But Matt Damon is Jason Bourne, David Webb, whatever he wound up being called in the long run. Just fun, original content that we hadn't seen of that style in a while when it came out.
Yeah, that's fair.
Based on books, but this was the more mainstream pick that I was alluding to earlier. Yeah, this was the other one I was thinking about. This is another one where it's like we're talking about franchises where we choose not to acknowledge later installments.
Right.
I think this also qualifies in that regard because I think this is a perfect end to this story. and I just think Jason Bourne, just not a good movie, totally unnecessary. Bourne Legacy
Cash
had
grab.
potential, but
Didn't work.
it didn't work. Yeah, and David Strathairn as sort of the main.
He was great.
He is absolutely fantastic in this movie as sort of the main foil for Bourne.
And of the
really,
three, that's the one where he really stretches his muscles the most. This is the third one.
yeah, so that's a great pick, definitely.
Agreed.
Also has a brand new attraction at Universal Studios Orlando.
Nice. Did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. But Ultimatum is a strong way to close out your team. And then we move on over to Andrew to close out the entire draft. No pressure. Make sure it's a good one.
Okay. I'm going to hope that I don't think there's real controversy in this. So I'm going to, since we started with Andy Serkis, let's end with Andy Serkis, War for the Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
It's a good pick.
I mean, I think all three of these films were excellent. I'm not sure which one's my favorite. And War is certainly a solid movie in the and definitely better than the other Planet of the Apes sequels that came before that trilogy. So,
well, I can't really elaborate on this one. I am not a big person when it comes to the Planet of the Apes movies. So, gentlemen, have at it.
I think the cinematography is really good. There's a lot of winter scenes in the movie, and I think it works.
Yeah, the action
just Spaceballs. That's all I got in my head. So.
Yeah, Dawn is my personal
shit.
favorite of
They're
the
both
trilogy, but they're all solid. This is one I definitely need to revisit. I need to revisit all three of them, for being honest. But
All good movies.
yeah, they all are good. Woody Harrelson is great.
Harrelson knocks out of the park in everything.
Everything.
I swear to God.
He's good. He's good in everything. So this is really no exception to that.
And Andy Serkis never got any awards for any of this stuff, right?
Yeah, it's wild. It's
He
wild.
never gets any award. That's really sad.
Yeah, because it is a legitimately great acting performance. Him as Caesar in all three of these movies, and I think there should have at least been some like special technical honor
Achievement
for the movie and for his contribution to motion capture, because it's revolutionary.
Wouldn't be surprised if we don't see him get just an honorary something along the way, just for everything, like from that to Lord of the Rings, all the stuff he does.
Yeah, it will not be for directing Venom: Let There Be Carnage. I can assure you of that.
You never know. Every day's Christmas Eve.
Mike, I haven't seen it yet. I don't.
We live in a society.
Oh God.
There we go. All right. Well, anyway, that's end of the draft. We've reached it. We did it, guys. Yay! Tony, let's recap. See how everyone's teams turned out.
Absolutely. Okay, so Jake went first overall, and he went with Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. He went then Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Army of Darkness, Sympathy for Lady Vengeance, and then Three Colors Red. Jimmy second overall. He went Avengers: Infinity War, Logan, John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, Austin Met Powers in Gold. I'm not going to do the accent. I don't know why I try and do a Dutch accent. In Coldmember, and then D3, The Mighty Ducks. I went with Toy Story 3, Goldfinger, Before Midnight, Mission Impossible 3, and Chasing Amy. Mike went National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, 4, Ragnarok, Return of the Jedi, Back to the Future Part 3, then Born Ultimatum. Then Andrew added back Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade, Die Hard with a Vengeance, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, The Muppets Take Manhattan, and War for the Planet of the Apes.
The poll later on is going to be interesting. All right, everyone in the chat, what did we miss? What did we leave off of these squads that were formed? Start putting them in the chat, and we're going to go around, get everyone's honorable mentions, a few that just barely missed out being drafted by you, and then you can do your plugs, anything, social media handles, shows you got coming up, whatever you want to plug away. I guess we'll start with Jimmy and then work our way around. Jimmy.
All right. Nothing to plug because I hate social media. But my honorable mentions. Quickly, Rocky 3.
Yeah, just name a couple of them.
Okay, no, seriously, I got Captain America: Civil War. I had too many Geeks movies, so I just skipped it.
I mentioned
Pirates 3 as well. The Purge: Election Year. I don't think anyone thought about this one. I I also got Despicable Me 3 for some reason. And that's pretty much it.
Ah, cool. Andrew, what do you got to plug, and what are a few that just missed out being picked by you?
Okay, so you can find me on Let's Get Ready as like either a sub and host, or I'll be co-hosting the Gold Standard, which is our FCL after show whenever that gets rolling, and also have a column on the website. So yeah, just check out Let's Get Ready. As far as honorable mentions, Bibiani said his favorite film of the franchise is Step Up 3D. So I thought about mentioning that one. Justin, my colleague, said best horror third movie is Dream Warrior, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3.
I just watched. That was the movie I watched right before this.
Killer theme song.
Also, in my honorable mentions was the top grossing film of last year.
Yeah,
which is
it's
Bad Boys for Life.
Mine too.
Okay.
I have that too.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Mike, speaking of plugs, you have, and then your honorable mentions.
So you can find me. I'm one of the hosts of What the Show podcast, where you go on every Tuesday night, 11 o'clock Eastern. It's a very off-the-wall, very super unprofessional podcast that is every week something different. Next week, if things go correctly, we're going to have Tom Dagnino and John Kaiser on. We're not talking anything about movies. We're just talking about the upcoming baseball season. So
that'll be fun.
Yeah. In terms of honorable mentions, the only one that haven't been mentioned yet, Dark Knight Rises, I haven't heard anyone say. And yeah, like everything else that I have on here is kind of like stuff that I was really reaching for.
You don't have to reveal.
And yeah, that's really Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, that's all stuff that like I would only have to talk to if I had to.
Gotcha. No, that's totally fair.
Also want to add, I like Batman Forever more than most, but
I do as well. Like that's low key, like in my
soundtrack.
3 or 4.
Yeah. Oh, great soundtrack.
All right, then Jake, you're up, sir.
Okay. Shockingly, I have stuff to plug. Normally, I don't. But yesterday, I participated. It's all Full Metal trivia stuff. Yesterday, I participated in a Full Metal random match about movie release dates with Joseph Olivas, who I know is in the chat, and then Brian Michaels and Dominic Rizzi. So check that one out. It was a lot of fun. And during the recording of this, the final video of Snowball dropped. So all 4 parts of Snowball, supposed to be end of year event, but not really because, well, But listen, I know. End of season event. I know. Listen, I want to defend Full Metal here because I know they get a lot of crap, but Jeff and Rue busted their asses editing those videos. So go show them some love. If anything else, I mean, I'm in there, but nobody likes me. I mean, even though I'm in 3 of the videos, it's whatever. But go check out Snowball, and hopefully the actual season of Full Metal will start up pretty soon. So yeah.
Then any honorable mentions that you want to throw out?
Yes. So Dream Warriors was one. I literally watched it right before this episode. It is really good. I did like it a lot more than I thought I would. Some really inventive kills in there. Star Trek Beyond, I think, is a really underrated Star Trek movie. I think it's, especially after Into Darkness, which I think Beyond is one of the, it's kind of in the middle for me, but for overall Star Trek, but I really liked it. And then I wasn't sure this counted, so I didn't bring it up, but I did throw out a British pick, Monty Python's Life of Brian, because like now for something completely different in Holy Grail, they sort of loosely connect, but I didn't want to get in any nebulous waters. Beyond Thunderdome is not good, so I did not mention that.
Okay.
And yeah, otherwise the other ones I thought of were mentioned already or picked.
Oh, cool. And then Tony, what's coming up on the channel?
So up yesterday, Batman journalist Dave Goodger, he had Anthony Tisdale on. They did the second half there. So the way that works, regular film fan and Dave interviews, for regular film fans, really fantastic watch. If you want to see a ton of Lord of the Rings bashing, go watch that. Monday at Digest the Cinema with Aaron and Christina came up. They did, speaking of Anthony, they did for a foreign language film, Pan's Labyrinth. Reviewed that. That's available on all podcast feeds. Sign up sheet for FPTL is available now. So if you want to play for Sunday, and then that's it for this week. Yep, nothing else on the horizon. And then just quickly for me, the big three that I was thinking of is Rocky 3, Scream 3, one of the best horror franchises of all time, and goddamn it, the most underrated Pixar film of all time, Cars 3. I won't have this slander, Jake. Cars 3 is a fantastic
You hate
film.
Return of the King, but you like Cars 3. What is your problem?
I like the Cars trilogy better than I do Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Go pound sand.
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
Well, and as for me, the only thing I can think to mention, just because Garth mentioned it in the chat, I actually happen to like Beverly Hills Cop 3. I would not probably pick it out of the 25 possible like series that got named during the draft, but just throw a little shout out to Axel Foley and Wonderworld, just because I'm a shill for anything Eddie Murphy. But tune in next week, because you can find me here every Wednesday on Fantasy Film Fights. Next week we are drafting movies based on TV shows, or TV shows turned movies. Yes, there we go. Thank you, Tony. And then I think that pretty much wraps it up. We'll get you guys out of here because we hit the 2-hour mark right on the dot. So for myself, for Jimmy, for Andrew, for Mike, for Jake, for Tony, we'll see you next week. Have a good one, guys. Bye.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and please don't forget to vote.
That was
Awesome.
I thought it raked.
Who's winning? Let's see who wins.
You're gonna win.
nothing personal. It's really gonna matter.
Tune in next week.
You see what happens?
Brand new.
Episode?
Fantasy film fight.
Doesn't matter who wins, because they're all losers.